Hello, everybody. It's Matt here from the podcast, and I just wanted to let you know that I think the audio got screwed up this week. I don't know what happened, but I apologize. You'll have to deal with Fishbowl Matt for 1 week, and hopefully it'll be fixed by next podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast. And I'm Matt, aka Matt Fondude. Who are you?
I'm James, aka James04E.
Making a triumphant return to the pod. I don't know if you
Yes.
saw, but I had a mini Ryan episode to fill
Oh
the void.
boy.
But you are now back, and you're back just in time to answer this amazing question. If you have questions, you can email them to us at hyeppodcast@gmail.com. Hey James, if Sonic runs, let me read that again. If Sonic the Hedgehog runs so fast, why doesn't he just become a mailman and deliver all of our packages?
I don't know. That sounds kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not way past cool.
No, I think being a mail. I don't think being a mailman is as cool as people think it is.
I don't think so either. I know these questions are horrible, but
Yeah.
yeah, if we get logistically, being a mailman seems really bad because the dogs will just attack you at all times.
Yeah.
Your
And
hours are
then it's like
bad.
whenever I see the mailman like going down the street, it looks so depressing because they go to one house, stop, get out, put the mail in, get back in, go to the next house, stop, get out, put the mail in. It's like you just going down the street like slowly.
Hmm. Well, unless you're an Amazon delivery driver, then you're hucking packages from your truck, trying to not miss your quota as like the drones follow you because they know that you're one femtosecond behind and you're gonna get
As the
shot.
drones follow you.
Yeah, no, that's the worst. That really genuinely seems to suck. And I haven't had annoying experiences with Amazon and signing for packages where they literally have not even tried to get me to sign for package. Like they will just like I had a package that I didn't even want to sign for that
Hmm.
I needed to sign for, and I saw on Amazon in real time them checking that I wasn't there, but I ran to get the person and they were so confused that someone actually was like ready for it that they had already checked it off as being not delivered. But luckily, the person was cool and was able to like update it to get it signed for. But
Yeah.
I don't hold it against them. That job is rough.
I don't know. I feel like signing packages is a thing of the past. You just leave it at my door.
Well, it's like I think Amazon is cracking down on people being like, "Oh, my package never showed up," and then
Yeah.
getting free stuff. I think it's only on. Well, what's weird is the thing I ordered. I don't remember it being like. It must have been some sort of electronic, but I think it might have been like rewritable CDs, which they can just or can't give away. You know what I mean? It was something like
Hmm.
not that important to sign for.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, amazing question out of the way, James. What have you been doing? What have you been up to? We haven't heard from you in a while.
Yes. So, guess did two things mainly. Firstly, I finished Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I did my whole grind cycle and got my character maxed out, and I did the raid boss, which is actually very fun. Uh, the idea is that it's like a I don't know how to describe it if you haven't played Borderlands, but it's this bug, like giant bug called a Varkid, and the idea with Varkids is that when they when they're about to die, they turn into an egg and they like can rehatch into like a stronger version of themselves. So the raid boss starts off in this like a really weak Varkid, and then like you keep killing it until it's like the actual raid boss. And then it also spawns an other raid boss with it, which is literally a raid boss from Borderlands 2. But
Hmm.
like I'm but like it's like I guess it's technically a mini version, but I think the idea is like, oh, this new boss is so big that it makes the old one look small. But in reality, I think it's just they just made the old one small. because
And I'm a
I
little
don't know, probably a scale
unfamiliar.
issue.
Is the raid boss, is it more than four people, or is it just a four-person, like up to four people
Um,
hard enemy?
so the way Borderlands does raid bosses is basically you walk up to this area on a map. It's like kind of hidden, and you have to pay like an entry fee. In Borderlands 3's case, you have to pay 500 iridium to like open a door, and iridium is like the alternate currency. It's not money. Um, but yeah, you have to pay the fee to open the door, and it's literally just in world, just walk in and do it. It's like a normal boss, but the idea is that it's supposed to be like super strong, and your build basically needs to be optimized to like do it. And you can have up to like it's same like rules as normal. You can have up to 3 friends with you for 4-player co-op.
Okay, that's just not like a weird. Okay, now you're with eight people mode or something.
Nah, yeah, it's normal. It's in world.
So it's just kind of like a super. Well, it's a raid boss, but it's like a super boss. Is it a
Yeah.
post game? Can you do it anytime, or is it basically like a post game thing?
I'm actually not sure if you can do it anytime, but I would imagine if you did it before very far into the post game, you wouldn't have a good time.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was one in Overwatch 2, in Borderlands 2. I might have even done it. I haven't. I've like wiped memories from that game.
Hmm.
But where's that in Borderlands 2?
In Borderlands 2, I don't remember exactly where it is, to be honest. I think Borderlands 2 has two of them. I think the other one is like a giant worm or something, but I would need to look back to remember exactly where they were.
Mm.
But the Borderlands 3 one is just on Pandora. Like, crap, I forget what the area is. It's one of the later areas in Pandora. Like after you return to the planet.
So, how do you feel about Borderlands 3 now that you've beaten it? This is the second time fully,
Yeah.
or yeah? What's the
Uh,
thoughts on it?
think outside of the some of the very cringy dialogue and the story not being great, pretty good game. Um, it definitely performs better on PC than it did on PS4, but it still stutters a bit. And like when you get to late game and you're doing like the challenges, like the trials of I don't know, I think they're just called the trials, and
The trials.
like the circle of slaughter and stuff like that, and like the takedowns, all that stuff. There's so many explosions and just visual clutter on your screen, and your game will just like freeze for a second. Sometimes it gets pretty chaotic. I think next time they do an in-depth end game experience, they definitely have to consider the amount of raw things that are on your screen. Uh,
Mhm.
because yeah, I mean, I would imagine it for the untrained eye, it could probably blind somebody.
Just like a giant warning comes up. It's like epilepsy warning. Please sign right now. This is the part of the
Yeah.
game that we were talking about.
Yep.
Um, but that is kind of the thing though with like the wild super enemy. They can just go crazy because it's just a bonus at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, Does that
Um.
game have like a good, like no spoilers on it? Because I might play it, but I don't really care about the story.
Mhm.
But people who might care about Borderlands 3 spoilers, does that game have like a good final boss, like a
Uh.
fun fight?
It's okay. I don't think Borderlands final bosses have ever been like anything too crazy. It's mostly about scale.
Mm-hmm.
I think the actual boss fight is just fine. But
How,
again, I also think that Borderlands 3 generally has better boss fights than the other Borderlands games. So like, just fine is probably great by Borderlands standards.
how would you compare it to like the Remnant one final boss, like of enjoyability level?
I
For
would
those who
definitely say it's
don't,
better.
yeah, for those who haven't
Um,
listened, Remnant One's final boss just makes you question if the game was good ever, if
man.
the game was good at all when you played it. Just unfun.
Oh man. Yeah.
Um,
Speaking of Remnant, I actually need to play the DLCs for Remnant 2. They they released the first DLC back in like November, and I think they're releasing the second one in like a few days or something like that. And they like just revealed one of the new classes today, which looks pretty cool. Um, but I don't know. I actually think this is gonna sound weird. I think the game having like guaranteed drops and no variance in like stats of the weapons you pick up and stuff like that actually really hurts its longevity.
in Remnant 2.
Yeah, because you don't really have to farm for anything ever. You just kind
Oh,
of
that yeah.
You just beat the boss for the first time. You just get the thing. Like there are like secrets and stuff like that. Um, but like I don't know. It's basically like the Dark Souls route. But like I think with the direction they took with Remnant 2, it's a little more um it's a little more I don't want to say it's more RPG, but maybe a little more MMO. I don't know, but either way, with like the classes and stuff like that, it goes a little bit away from the Dark Souls route to the point where like there's a little more optimization with your build and stuff like that.
Mhm. And so I kind of forget about Remnant One. Well, there was random drops on kind of like crafting materials and stuff like that. Like I didn't remember if like certain weapons you could get or like badge. I remember um, whatever the system was of upgrades, the perk system or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Those would drop from different triggers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So how it generally works is for items that you like find in the world, uh, it's just they have like certain spawn locations, and you're pretty likely to find what you want. Like there are very few, there aren't that many different things that can just spawn in a specific area, and you can even just re-roll your areas if you want in adventure mode.
Yeah, yeah, that was a cool thing about the Remnant games, where you could do multiple campaigns at the same time. Like not multiple
Yeah.
campaigns, but you could play the main campaign or do like the grinding mode, pretty much,
Yeah.
as separate things, but same character.
Hmm.
I like when games. I like when games have separate save files for the world and the character. Like Terraria does that, where you have a character and you can take that character into other worlds in the game. So they separate it out. I think that's cool.
Hmm.
Lets you have more flexibility with the character stuff. I was thinking about picking up Remnant 2. I probably will at some point. Those games are really good, except when they're terrible. Like they're at the highest
Hmm.
highs and the lowest lows of any game I've played recently. It's insane.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the prices. The price hasn't really changed for this game yet, so I'd probably wait for a sale.
It went on a good sale at one point. I had a friend who
Oh,
I
it did.
played. I played Remnant One with that friend, and they're like, "Oh, should we get it?" And I'm like, "You can get it. I'm just not. I'm not playing it right now. I'm not in
Hmm.
the vibe. It's not the vibe." Speaking of games that aren't the vibe, have you ever played Dead? Have you ever played the classic phrase? Have you ever played Dead Island?
Yes,
Did
unfortunately.
Did you see that Dead Island Two is coming out in like 2 days? The
I
game that
thought it
was like
was
announced in like
I thought it was
2015 or
already
something.
out. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's been tons of like shorts and stuff of it. I
Hey, no,
think
Dead
people
Island 2
have
came
it.
out. Dead Island 2 came out on April 21st, 2023.
Okay, then is it coming to PC in like 3 days? Because I'm looking at it on Steam.
Uh, that might
Maybe
be
that's
it.
why I keep seeing clips. Which goes to show how much people
Oh,
actually
okay,
care
okay.
about
So it was
Dead
on the
Island
Epic
2.
Games Store before.
Oh, so it's coming out
Yeah.
in 2 days for real this time. So
Yep.
people can actually play it. Um,
Yeah, they wrote out their 1 year exclusivity.
well, you say that, but their exclusivity on Epic Games can go all over the place. Like how Kingdom Hearts is still exclusive, like 4 years later
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I remember Borderlands 3, it was only 6 months. But I
Hmm.
think Borderlands 3 was one of the first big games to do it. So it felt like forever to a lot of people.
Yeah, it was really annoying for a game that's semi mid. Um, outside of which is funny because it's like the gameplay is good, but the writing is mid. But
Yeah.
yeah, Dead Island 2. So I guess this game has been out for a really long time then, and I've seen nothing about it until recently. So that should probably tell you about Dead
I don't know.
Island 2, I guess.
I remember IGN gave it a 7. I think it was just kind of happened. I don't think it was like offensively bad.
Hmm.
It wasn't great. I just think it was like just okay.
I mean, Dead Island 1 was kind of. Dead Island 1 is fun, and that game goes on sale for like $2 constantly. So
Yeah.
for like $2, you can have a lot of fun, kind of.
It's a fun game, but it's also an atrocious game.
If you bought it at launch, you would not be happy, though. Like,
Yeah,
that would, like,
you'd be
full
very,
price on
very,
that.
very unhappy.
Hmm. What is with these like dying lights and like these zombie games that are it's like a weird space of being terrible but actually kind of fun. Like Dying Light 1 and 2. They're like, "Would you
Yeah.
recommend it?" And people are like, "I don't know, maybe."
Yeah, I also think Dead Rising kind of goes in that category as well.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the like, God, I think like it's the genre is like zombie game based around melee combat with like a weapon crafting system.
And it's all like with co-op of some kind, and it's
Yeah,
super fun, but it's like objectively bad. Like I don't
bonus points if it's drop in co-op.
dropping co-op with asymmetrical multiplayer of some kind.
Oh
Um,
God.
yeah, dropping co-op. The only one that survived, yeah, Back for Blood too, dead. Even
Oh
though that's a
God.
different type of game, but the only one that really survived was like Left 4 Dead. But that's they're all different, but they
I
all
guess
have
to be fair, I wouldn't put Left
elements
4
that are
Dead
the
in like
same.
the same sub genre of like
No, it
zombie
kind of
games.
made its own game. That became. Was there another genre of like 4-player co-op? I don't know, horde-based stuff like that before Left 4 Dead.
No clue.
Because then there was like I don't know when Killing Floor came out. There's Killing Floor. I guess there was like Call of Duty Zombies kind of deal. Um, it is weird that a lot of these games are based around zombies too, or like they need hordes of something. So I guess zombies make sense.
Hmm.
I don't know. Whatever. We've gotten a little all over the place in the world of topics, but you know what game has a really good PVE mode?
Do I know what?
Yeah, do you? Do you know what game has a really good? Oh wait, you're asking a genuine question.
Oh,
Okay.
do I know a game that has a really good PvE mode? Oh
Yes.
boy. Uh, I don't know, Matt. Do you?
Yeah, I do. It was called Overwatch 2. I played the
Oh
PvE
God.
missions
Oh God.
recently, and you know what's so sad? All right, so do you know why I played the PvE missions in Overwatch
Why?
2? So there's a skin. I play Sojourn now on DPS, and there's a cool skin you can get if you pay for the three PVE missions they add it in the game, and
Okay.
but they also give you like 1,000 coins, like premium currency. So that's like the battle pass basically.
Okay.
Um, so I'm like, oh, this skin's like $5. If I did like it was like $15 for the three missions, but with plus 1,000 coins. So I'm basically paying $5 for this skin, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like this skin. But you have to, they force you to play the missions um, to get the skin, and there's three of them, and it's single player. You're just hanging out with the NPCs, and you know what's really sad? They were pretty fun.
Oh God.
They were
Oh
pretty fun,
God.
and I mean, all right, the gameplay for the most part was kind of boring because all the PVE stuff in Overwatch has been kind of bad, where it's just like you're shooting like bots.
Yeah,
But
the killing
Mhm.
armies of bots. I remember all those events.
No, but these were way better than the events. At least there was like set pieces, and it was neat to walk around as Lucio, and then all the characters are talking to each other. And I realized that you can pick from a cast of characters on some of the missions, where some of them didn't show up in the mission. So there's interactions for characters that there's some replayability where if I played a different character, I might hear different interactions during the mission. And I thought that
Hmm.
was really cool. Like I liked the characters doing stuff and the cutscenes, which I think everyone can agree on. The cutscenes are cool. And then I got to the end of the three things, and I was like, "Oh, I actually that like I'm kind of invested in this story now that will literally never continue because they cancel all PVE projects because they just like screwed up." Um,
Yeah,
so I got double annoyed because I didn't care at first. Now I don't. Now I care, and now they're not happening.
it's a really interesting situation because like basically what happened is the Overwatch One team was like, yeah, we're gonna do PVE and like add all this cool stuff to the game, and then they all left, and the new team's like, well, what do you mean?
I don't blame anyone on the team. It
What
was
do you
just
mean we have to
horrible
do
management.
PVE?
Um, no, they're just not doing it, which is fair enough. But like
Yeah.
now, we just have three missions that just hang out on the. There's a whole spot on the main screen and UI for it, and they're just hanging out there. Um, and it really did suck because like I thought they were gonna be really bad, and I had like no expectations, and I found myself actually kind of enjoying it and like thinking about the characters in a new way of like, oh, they're talking to each other. That's fun. And everyone
Hmm.
talks about like we should have a cinematic, like do a Netflix show or do something like that. And I kept thinking like, okay, yeah, I don't care, this would be stupid. But like, I think if they did actually do that, I would maybe want to watch it. You know, it could be okay. But
Hmm.
anyway, Overwatch 2 is doing a cool multiverse battle pass right now, where it's like, what if bad characters are good? And they have the mythic skin is Mercy, so big money.
Hmm.
Um, and one last thing about Overwatch 2, the mythic skin, they added a shop where you could buy old mythic skins,
Oh yeah,
and
I heard about that.
it costs $80 to get a mythic skin with all the customizations. So
Yeah, it was really funny 'cause the way I heard about that was I saw somebody tweet like, "Oh my god, it costs $80 to buy a mythic skin. It's like 8 battle passes." And
yeah,
somebody like an Apex content creator replied and was like, oh, you sweet summer child." Cuz
I the gambling of the Apex.
yeah, so Apex does it for those who don't know is all of the heirlooms or mythic skins uh they basically both go into the same type of event. They go into an event with 24 items, and if you buy all of the items, you get the mythic thing, and those usually cost around $160 total to buy all the items. And then if you don't get it during the event, you can't buy them directly. You have to buy Apex packs for it, and you're guaranteed one every 1 in 500 Apex packs, or there's like just a 1 in 500 chance for each pack to have one. So like on you can probably expect to spend $500 for one if you're not getting it during the event in which it was released.
That sucks. Like I don't know. All these monetizations suck. But like, I guess you can only blame yourself in a way because people buy these things, you know. And
Mayhaps.
I buy the battle pass and stuff because I've at least played enough of Overwatch to like want the skins and stuff. I don't know if I've like somehow tricked myself into thinking the game is fun in a way.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, enough about Overwatch 2. There's other stuff, but I don't care to talk about it. What else have you been doing this week?
So I also played and completed Tiny Tina's Wonderlands,
Hmm.
and it was a bit of a roller coaster for me because when I was first playing through it, first of all, before I did the playthrough, I knew of a mod called Wonderlands Redux, and the idea is
Okay.
people in the community basically deemed like, hey, this game kind of like has a lot of really really big gameplay issues to the point where like literally a couple weeks into the game's release, people were like, okay, we're gonna make a mod for this. And so like the mod came out and everybody loved it. And God, they changed a lot of stuff. Lots of it was to do with loot. Like one big problem people had was there's this system called loot luck where you had to find these these die around the map. Or these dice. You have to find these dice around all the maps. There's like 80 of them across the entire game, and they're like in pretty hidden spots. And for each one you pick up, you get an increased chance of getting a drop from like an enemy or a boss. And they balanced the game around that, so the drop rates were actually super super low. So like for the people that didn't have all of them, it was just impossible to get the items you wanted. So like one of the big things that they did with the mod was they just removed the system and they just gave everybody like max loot luck by default.
Hmm.
And then they like introduced like new weapon rarities and smoothed out the like progression of weapon rarity like from the drops you get. And they also lightly reworked the movement system. So since Borderlands 3, Borderlands games have had a slide function and also a ground slam. The ground slam was technically initially in Borderlands the pre-sequel, but in Borderlands 3 they gave it a whole like animation because in the pre-sequel you just slam yourself into the ground with no animation, like you just fall fast.
Yeah, because no one played that one anyway, so it was
Yeah.
okay.
It was actually better back then because you kept your gun out. Uh, but yeah, so now you do this whole thing where you like take your fist out and you slam the ground. It's kind of fucking useless to be honest. Like in all the games, there's always like one side quest where like it's like, hey, slam this. It's
Yeah, and
like,
the
oh,
character
I
is like
use the
Slammy
mechanic.
McSlammo, slam me,
Yeah,
and he's like slam me, and then you press the slam button.
yeah, but yeah, the mechanic sucks. Just because the scaling is very poor. It's very clunky, like awkward to use. You have to be above your max jump height usually to use it. So you need to like jump off of something. And so basically, what they did is they changed like 3 things generally to movement. First of all, you can like air strafe now. You just have more control of your character in the air. Second, when you jump after sliding, you maintain the momentum, kind of like what they do in like Apex. Because previously, if you jumped after sliding, you just kind of it was like you just did a regular like walking jump. It was really awkward, and it just kind of didn't feel good to slide in combat most of the time. And then they replaced the ground slam with an air dash and a double jump. So it's like if you press the ground slam button, you just dash midair, which is it's a little clunky just because it doesn't really have an animation, but it's definitely more practical than the ground slam, like
You know,
easily.
to me, we've had this conversation before about mod stuff. Like, this seems a little like overtuned to me. I know people enjoy, and it probably makes the game better, but I'm always so like, I just want to play the game the way it is
Yeah,
for the most part, unless it's like a graphical fix. Like, okay, the game runs at like 6040p. Like, we should probably fix
yeah.
that.
So I did my first playthrough without the mod, and my
Yeah.
whole playthrough, I actually really enjoyed the first playthrough. I thought it was great. Probably one of the better Borderlands like stories. And the whole playthrough, I was like, like yeah, I would definitely play this again. This is fun, And then I got to the end of the game, and I realized the game doesn't really have end game. All there is there's these things called chaos chambers, which go from like level 1 to 100. And it's just like you fight a bunch of enemies, and you go to like the next chamber, and it's like a roguelike thing. You get like certain different like modifiers and stuff throughout, and then there's a boss at the end. And I did like 5 of them, and I was like, wow, I'm kind of already bored of this. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'll restart my game and I'll do the Redux playthrough. And then I got like 2 hours into the game and I'm like, wow, I don't really enjoy this that much. It was like, damn. And they didn't really do like DLC for that game. They called it PLC. I forget what the P stood
Oh my
for.
god.
But the idea
Pagan.
is like they literally it's just 2 extra bosses in the chaos chambers, I think, that you have like a chance of getting for each of the 4 DLCs or something like that. Which was just really disappointing actually. It was kind of odd. And I think what was really funny is I saw on Instagram, I got an ad, and it was like a Tiny Tina's Wonderland like story or something like that. I'm like, wait, did they release an actual DLC? And no, it's a comic. Is this a
I
comic?
I feel like
That's
it's not
sad.
truly a Borderlands game unless it has a season pass part 1 that only has 2 of the DLCs, and all the DLCs are overwhelmingly negative on Steam.
Yeah,
And then they release a second season pass
yeah,
for
no,
the
but
other
I think
half of the
they're kind
DLCs.
of done with that game, and they're just working on Borderlands 4. But all the DLCs for this game are overwhelmingly negative, or
Oh, of
very
course.
very negative rather. Overwhelmingly, we're not there yet.
DLCs. It is funny that my I'll judge a game on Steam where I'll look at the game. The game could be overwhelmingly positive or positive, and then you look at those DLCs, and sometimes you just see like those are some of the best reviews you can read on Steam of a game's random DLC, like a Monster Hunter costume DLC or something. Just read one of those, and it's just like this never worked. I paid $3 and it never even activated. Just like from 2014, just never fixed. It's just like yeah, this just doesn't work.
Yeah,
Overwatch 2 has great ones, which I had an issue with. I have Overwatch 2 on Steam now, and I buy the Battle Pass stuff through Steam, and it takes a while to activate sometimes. And the reviews are just like, "You stole my money. Where is it?"
man.
And yeah, great reviews.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I did. I kind of got it back into Slay of Spire a little bit. It's
Mhm.
nothing new about it. I'm just playing it.
Yeah,
And then I also got Fallout 4 and all of the Fallout New Vegas DLC while it was on sale. I haven't
for the
started
show.
either of them yet, but I'll probably play them eventually.
Yeah,
they're my single player backlog of 20 games.
I assume I assume it's for the show. The Netflix. Is it an Amazon show? What is it? The show
It's an
on?
Amazon. It's a Prime Video show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were super cheap. Like I got some. I think I got the Ultimate Edition of New Vegas. I already had the game. I just didn't have the DLC, but it was cheaper to buy the Ultimate Edition than it was to get all the DLC individually. So I bought the Ultimate Edition for like $5, and then I bought Fallout 4 Ultimate Edition for $10.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, oh
and
yeah, ten
then
bucks.
Yeah, and only other thing that's kind of funny actually is so there's supposed to be a Dota patch soon because they announced, so it's called Crownfall. It's supposed to be like this major event. You know, they release like mythic skins and all that stuff. And Dota doesn't really do events like that very often. Like, it was kind of a big deal. Um, and so they had announced it back in like November or something, and they say like, yeah, it's coming like start of the year, like Q1 2024. And then it got to like every time they did like a blog, they kept saying like, yeah, you know, this has a few more like moving pieces than we expected, so we're delaying it, or th- not officially delaying it because they never really gave a release date, but they said like, yeah, you know, it's gonna take a while. And then they said mid-April last month, and everybody knows when somebody says like oh yeah, mid this month, late this month, around this time, everybody takes it very literally. So like the moment it hit like April 10th, everybody was like patch,
Where is it? Where is it?
patch coming, patch. And somehow they convinced themselves that since the character that's coming with the event is called Ringmaster, and he's meant to be like a circus themed like puppeteer guy, and everybody convinced themselves like, oh, April 17th is National Clown Day.
Of
It's
course.
mid-April. Ooh, Crownfall, April 17th. Oh my god! And all the streamers were like, oh my god, Crownfall today, patch waiting room, and there's a bunch of like kind of psychotic people who will do like I'll do this until the patch comes out. Like
Oh no.
somebody was like, oh yeah, I'll peel potatoes until the patch comes out, and they all started yesterday. So it was really funny because it got to like midnight EST, and Valve is on West Coast, to be fair, so it was like 9 p.m. for them, and everybody kind of simultaneously realized like, guys, maybe it's not happening today. And all the people doing the challenge were like,
Turns
oh,
out the only clowns on Clown Day were the streamers and the chat, as usual. Um, it is also wild to me people like getting. When I think of Dota 2, I just think of like, oh guys, new crazy patch today. They're adding one. They're adding like a new number to the game or something. I don't know. Like I don't think of Dota 2 as like, oh, they're adding like a Naruto skin. Let's all get like excited. I know it's a big content, like they're gonna change stuff, but I don't know why Dota 2 for some reason to me is like well, I guess I don't understand who plays Dota 2, to be honest. I don't understand the
mm,
player base. It seems like a weird group of people, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's kind of odd player base. I mean, part of it is that it's not a very American game, so like
Yeah.
it's more popular in like Europe. Um, and what else?
Well, I can tell you that I've been playing a game that is actually I so do you know Overcooked? The game Overcooked?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not I'm not playing Overcooked, but I'm playing a game called Plate Up, which if you look at it visually it just looks like bad Overcooked. But it's basically Overcooked with roguelike elements or roguelite elements where you can play up to four people and you have a restaurant and you do the
Hmm.
Overcooked style cooking, but you pick your menu and every day that passes in the game, so you have days cycles and you need to serve the customers and clean the dishes and do all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and every day passes, you get a card that is like basically a buff to your money, but like makes it harder. So you might have to add an additional thing to the recipe. You have to make like mushroom sauce and then add that. It makes it harder. Uh, you might have to like serve more customers. The customers can change their minds, stuff like that. Um, and your goal is to just try to like survive. But it also has like Factorio kind of like automation, so you can make like conveyor belts to like automate cooking processes and there's a lot of crazy stuff. It kind of scratches a lot of like brain itches of like trying to automate things, doing the overcooked thing, doing like weird roguelike stuff or roguelite stuff where you're getting and you also get permanent upgrades like after each run. So you'll lose but you'll get some sort of permanent upgrade
Hmm.
and the layout you can move around like the counter spaces and all that stuff. You can move everything around, and the layout of the actual restaurant is changes at the beginning and stuff like that. It's really fun. I didn't one thing I didn't realize is that the publisher is Yogscast Games. Do you know
Mm.
Yogscast from Minecraft fame of back in the day?
Yeah, I recognize the name. I don't know them like well, but I've heard the
Hmm.
name.
Yeah, so their one of their claim to fames in the gaming world was they had a Kickstarter and the developer stole all the money from the Kickstarter to make their like Minecraft clone,
R and
and then
R.
they made like a lot of money, and then all the money was taken. So I was like, oh no, but it's just the publisher, and the game is it looks kind of bad. Like it looks like it would be bad. It kind of looks like um, it's trying to rip off Overcooked a little bit, but it is genuinely very fun. I would give that a rec. I think this is a game that I think Overcooked is a good four player like arcadey thing. You wouldn't want to play with like four randos at like a party with this game. This is
Yeah,
more of a like co op experience.
yeah. Overcooked is very intense. It's a potential friendship ender.
Oh yeah, it's a. I mean, this game too is also like you're just yelling out actual like chef things. You're like, all right, we got this, we got salad, we got this on, we got one of these, one milkshake. Bring that over. Just yeah, serving the milkshake.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
it's like everybody in that game either thinks they're Gordon Ramsay or that guy from The Bear.
Yeah, you gotta be, to
Yeah,
have the best
you gotta
Yogscast
keep your
restaurant.
kitchen in order.
I'm just looking at the
That actually reminds me.
screenshots.
I saw this YouTube video yesterday, and there's this guy talking about like, yeah, there are really like three primary classes in like any RPG or class based game, and it's like really hard to break away from that. And then they listed examples of games that broke away from it, and he listed Overcooked. And I'm like, what?
What is that? The cook class?
Like, what are the classes in Overcooked? Who's taking it that seriously that they've gotten like
Oh,
the classes down?
I can imagine that the classes would be something like chopping and expediting, like the person who's cooking. Because that kind of makes sense because like you could be
Hmm.
the person who like delivers food and like make sure like the plates are clean, and you could focus on like prepping. I could see how there are classes. There's like soft classes. In
Yeah,
Plate Up, there definitely are because at least in co-op, you need someone to be a waiter and you need someone to be in the kitchen for the most part. It's pretty strict in that way. I can't even really imagine playing single player. That seems kind of awful trying to deal with that. Um,
yeah.
but it is fun. How the three classes, as in like okay, every game has an archetype like oh the mage, the like warrior, and the what like archer, the rogue.
So I think what they referred to it as was that there's an offensive class, so usually like the DPS and stuff.
Hmm.
Defensive, which is either like the tank or like the like engineer guy, and then there's
Hmm.
support.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah,
But then there's subclasses within all of those, obviously.
yeah.
Um, I don't understand necessarily how you would make a game that didn't like that kind of is a little silly because like is he saying that applies to every game that has co-op or roles or something?
I think they were saying like all like I think it was like all games that are derivative of like RPGs or MMOs
I
to some
mean,
degree. So like they were talking about like Overwatch. Trying to think of the other examples. I don't remember the other examples. He talked a lot about Overwatch. I do remember that. He also
yeah,
used Apex as like a
yes.
kind of like potential example of what breaks away from it, but like I don't know, Apex is weird.
Um, Speaking of games with unnecessary sequels, so Smite 2, uh, they're doing the thing that I've said though, where I'm like, I wish they would do For Honor 2, even if it's the same game. I want to get in. I don't know anything about Smite 2. Have you? We've talked about Smite regular, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about Smite 2 briefly. I think the main thing is it's just a major engine upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're also like soft resetting the game where it's like the characters are gonna come out again like in a steady flow because they need time to like implement them into the new engine. But that game was made on like Unreal Engine 3. So that was is definitely justified for like them to make a sequel.
And I liked Smite from what I played, and one, I'm a little saddened because I bet if you boot up Smite 2, or when in 3 months when Smite 2 is released, it's probably going to get the overwhelmingly negative treatment because it'll probably be bad. Um,
Man.
but like I don't know. Like maybe I'll give it another go. I don't know. It's kind of too deep like to get into that. I'm
Mayhaps.
already playing a bad sequel game. Do you ever feel like that with? I mean, you're playing Apex. I mean, you kind of have a little bit of a secondary game too with like the Dota and stuff like that. But do
Yeah.
you ever feel like when you're playing one of those like games as a service games, you just have one and you're just kind of sticking with it?
Yeah, kind of. Um,
Like,
yeah, and I guess since we're on the games of service topic, I should probably talk about Apex. It had a very funny time recently.
would you consider Apex your main game then over Dota 2? Because it seems like it
Probably
at
right
this
now,
point.
yeah. I don't really play Dota as much unless there's a patch.
Yeah, I kind of
Um,
noticed that.
but yeah, I don't know. Apex had so they did their ranked split, which basically everybody goes back like a rank and a half or something like that at the start of each split, so that like all the top ranked players and stuff can like grind back up and go for number one. And there's not just like a colossal gap between like everybody else and number one at all times if they didn't do a mid season reset. But so basically they did that, and they really fucked it up. Like they severely dropped the ball. So basically what happened is there was some sort of problem with the cross progression when they tried to reset people's ranks, where everybody either got their account full reset to level 1 or their account was reverted to when they initially got cross progression, which for everybody it went out in like waves and it wasn't voluntary. So like it just kind of happened to you at some point if you had progress on another system. And so yeah, it was very odd because like people were like losing their battle pass and stuff like that, and it was like respawn was just like, uh, yeah, we're gonna fix it, but we can't give you like a time because this is a really complex issue. And their some people got their rank reset, and some people didn't. So everybody was just really confused. It was a really odd time, and so they eventually fixed it. And then when another event came out, or when an event ended on Tuesday, um, people got their accounts reset again.
Oh my
This
god.
time they fixed it kind of quickly. Like they fixed it like within the day, but it was just, man, like they're really like there was a long period of time, like I would say up until like mid 2022 maybe, where every Apex season or every Apex patch something would just explode like every time. And then they like kind of stopped doing that. And then they laid off a bunch of people. Now it's happening again.
And they're
Big
like, but don't
surprise.
worry, the cash shop works perfectly. We're still accepting credit
Y-
cards. You can roll for your chance at getting Master Chief's elbow armor. That's our crossover right now. You might have to spend $900 to get it, but
okay, actually,
it
funny
works.
thing, the shop didn't work.
Oh no!
So what
Oh,
happened is when people's accounts got reverted, they also got reverted back to their old currency. Um,
oh no!
so like if you had like Apex coins, you had the same Apex coins you had when cross progression happened, pretty much. And the shop also got reverted back to that time. So like all the stuff, all the new stuff they're gonna put in the shop, it was just all like old stuff. Um, and then with the recent problem that they had on Tuesday, there were literally like fake bundles in the shop. Like you could buy stuff that you weren't even supposed to be able to buy, like Battle Pass exclusive stuff. You just buy it, and then like after you buy it, it would just not be in your inventory.
Oh my god! All right, that's actually a
Yeah,
disaster.
people got refunded
Unironically.
for that, but it's like, damn.
Oh god. Just like one of the number one games on Steam, like probably makes like a bajillion
Yeah, I don't know.
dollars.
Crazy times. Very crazy
Yeah.
times. Layoffs not good. Um,
Yeah.
and the actual game is fine, besides the fact that Mr. Gassy Boy Caustic, the poison character, has been meta for an entire season. That's not fun.
When do you think the next like thing is coming out? Like when's the next big game that is coming out? You know, do we have anything to like look forward to?
I don't know. I mean, not that I really know of. Like
The
Project
finals or
Loki is
whatever.
like I've been playing in the playtest and stuff. It's okay. I think like they make some kind of silly balance decisions and stuff like that. And they recently announced that they're going into alpha soon because they've been in pre-alpha for a while. So that means that they've like the game that we have right now, they've like solidified like this is what we want to do. Um So like the design direction and stuff is like generally settled on, and I think that there's a decent amount of the community that don't like the design direction. So uh, could be a little rough. But apparently they have 150,000 players. I don't
Pretty
know
good.
how. It doesn't feel like it, but yeah, 150,000 people signed up for the playtest. So uh, good start, I guess.
Project Loki, and like I guess Helldivers 2 scratches that itch of like the co-op-y thing, like the hotness right now. I mean, people still talking about that a little bit. I've been seeing some Lethal Company stuff. The game just got updates. Um, but yeah, I think you know what. Let's go into some questions. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about of your week.
Um, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the only other actually, there's one other thing. I played a very little bit of Helldivers, but apparently people they like beat the automatons briefly.
Oh,
Then they
they
just
just
came
won.
back. And they just
Yeah,
kind of came back. It was really odd.
what
Like
are you gonna do? End the game? Just like,
like
well,
I looked at
servers
the
go down.
universe map and there were just no automatons anywhere, and all of their planets were like 100% liberated. I'm like, damn, we did it. And then they came back the next day. They came back from like the edge of the universe. So like the
Hmm.
idea is they obviously retook the stuff that's farthest away from Earth. And
Yeah.
they're just inching back. Um,
The idea is like, oh, we messed up.
yeah,
the
my
game
bad,
can't just
guys.
end.
God, it was crazy because there were so many theories of what was going to happen. People thought they were going to introduce a new enemy because there was a third like faction in Helldivers 1 called the Illuminate, I think. And
Mhm.
they're like these like high tech like balls of light or something like that. I don't know. They were weird from what I heard, but um yeah. And also when I signed it, I noticed there was a new crap. What are they called? Like global order or whatever. Like it's a challenge that like everybody has completes together. And it was kill 2 million terminids, which are like the or 2 billion terminids, which are like the bug things.
Mhm.
It was interesting. And I signed in again today, and people had killed 1.5 billion with like 3 days left.
Oh god.
So we're probably gonna kill 2 billion buggies.
Yeah, I feel like someone at Helldivers HQ was sleeping on the keyboard and was like, oh no. And anyway, somehow they just returned.
Yeah, I also think the killing 2 billion bugs thing was probably like to get people to not pay attention to the fact that the automatons are coming back. Because like imagine like your friend group, you got 4 people, and one says, "Guys, the automatons are kind of coming back." It's like, "What do you mean? We have to kill 2 billion bugs? You have no time." Oh man, silly
All
game.
right. I was queuing some questions at the end there. I was just looking through, and I think we'll go into questions. And once again, HYEP podcast at gmail.com if you want to send us a question. But James, I have a very straightforward question for you right
Okay.
now. Now, what is your favorite retro video game? And before you answer that, what do we even consider retro now? Because some people might even consider the Wii retro, which is
I
makes you feel old.
I also think technically, are we talking like actually retro or retro inspired? Because like if we're talking like retro inspired, like technically Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, is retro.
Have you played that recently though? Like it, I
I
think that
played it
game.
like about a year ago, I think.
I think the game's very stylish, but is honestly one of the most mid games of all time in terms of fun, like
Yeah,
playing the
it's kind
game.
of meh. I think if I remember correctly, it gets more fun later on when you like unlock moves and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
the early game of it is just kind of boring.
I feel like there's not a whole lot. I mean, maybe it's just kind of like the beat 'em up genre can be kind of dry like that. I don't think I've ever really enjoyed those kind of games. But
Yeah.
that game specifically, I think, is a lot more style over substance. But also, It was like a movie tie-in game, movie slash book tie-in game, and it has no right to be as decent as it is,
Hmm.
and it has a good soundtrack. Um, but I think retro we consider like I'm thinking like arcade and yeah, I would just say maybe like think of like the arcade, but like old school arcade. I don't know, like a Pac-Man type beat.
Man.
Do you notice how some of those arcade games are actually trash? like really unfun to play.
Oh yeah, it's because we didn't have better games back then. Like they were like the first to do their things.
Well, that's very fair and very true. But like you could still play Pac-Man and enjoy it. But like there are some games like I don't want to slander it that much because like Donkey Kong is cool, but it kind of sucks a lot. It kind of is not fun at all, even though it's very important. And I know people like it, but I don't know that Donkey Kong is kind of very unfun to play.
Okay, so I've looked it up. Retro is considered something that is at least 20 years old, but not
The
40
Wii,
years old. So 20 to 40.
we could talk about the Wii.
Wait, no, the Wii
Um,
isn't that old.
uh,
The Wii was
isn't
like
the Wii like
2006 or
2008?
2005, wasn't it?
What? Wait, okay, wait. I'm gonna look up.
Wait, no. It was yeah, it was 2006. So it
Okay,
can't be
so it's
retro.
like
It's 18 years old.
barely,
Well,
barely
it's not
not.
even 18 yet. It was November 2006. So it's like
Okay,
17 and a half.
okay. Well, like the GameCube or something
Yeah, we
like
could say
that.
GameCube.
Um, that yeah, that's tough.
I mean,
Ugh.
I don't know. I guess it's technically retro. I liked the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games. Were very cool.
Was that on GameCube?
It wasn't GameCube. It was on. It was actually. I don't know if it was on GameCube. I know it was on PS4 or not PS4, PS2. I don't know why I said
Oh
PS4.
yes, PS4 peak retro.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know they were on PS2. That's what I had them on.
Mhm.
I had a GameCube, but I didn't have many games on it. It was kind of odd. I remember I had like a Naruto game, like some Naruto fighting game. It was like something Clash. I think it was Naruto Ninja Clash, maybe.
Mm.
No, it was
There's
Clash
many
of
a Naruto
Ninja.
fighting
I
game.
think. No, that was the movie. Wait, no. It was Clash of Ninja. Okay, I was right.
Which version of the clashing is it? There's like so many clash-based subtitles.
I don't know. It's just Naruto Clash of Ninja. That's what it was called.
Yeah, I think we need to like I think we need to move on from the retro question before I turn to dust.
Oh god.
Um, let's see. Let me ponder these questions here. A lot of them are so like, what's the thing that is good? What is your favorite video game character? Kind of lame. What's your? How about I'll invent a new question. Who is your most hated video game character? Like annoying character. Like
Ooh.
you're like, oh my god, this character sucks.
Huh. Annoying video game characters.
All
I
of
mean, I wouldn't
Borderlands
say
3.
annoying, but like just somebody I disliked was in Doom, Samuel Hayden.
Is that the guy who has the deep voice? Is it the robot
Yeah,
man,
it's
or is
the
that?
robot guy. And the reason why I hated him so much was because like in Doom 2016, he was just kind of a dick. Like he's just like ordering the Doom guy around and like
It's cool.
he's like I have a deep and cool voice. I'm Samuel
Yeah,
Hayden. And
that's
then at
that's
the
all you
end
need.
when you like beat the boss and you get the crucible, he just takes it and like electrocutes you. It's like
Yeah.
that's not very nice. And then in Doom
I,
Eternal, he's just fucking dead. Like you just find him and he's just like
okay,
just fucked up.
spoilers for Doom and Doom Eternal, but okay. I mean, those games
Okay,
aren't
it's not.
that
So
heavy on
yeah,
story.
I guess we're Doom is spoiled, but in Doom Eternal, it's like you just randomly find him, he's just like ripped apart, and it's like that's it.
There you go.
It's just
I don't
odd.
think
Like,
that's annoying though. Like, I guess it could
well,
be annoying
yeah,
to you.
I wouldn't say annoying. I just hate him.
I'm trying to think of a
I
character
just
that just actively
don't
makes
like
the
him.
game worse. Like, oh, okay. I feel a little bad, but I think Claptrap is kind of terrible. Um, but like maybe in a good like I'm like torn on
Hmm.
that, and I don't want to go Borderlands specific like hyper Borderlands,
Hmm.
but Claptrap kind of sucks. But let me think. Who was like a character that is actually
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing with Claptrap is I think it was
he's
fine
supposed
in
to be
Borderlands
annoying too.
One, and then in Borderlands Two, in Borderlands Two they actually did a few things to like humanize him a little bit. Like he threw him a birthday party or something, I think, and that was nice. And then in Borderlands Three, he was just like shit and annoying. It's stupid shit.
I got my answer. I had to ponder because I'm thinking. Okay, Claptrap is supposed to be annoying. I feel like it's like mean to put a character that is intended to be annoying on the annoying characters.
Well,
Um,
I think the thing with Claptrap though is like I don't know. He like does the dumbest shit, and and then when you do something to fix it, He'll like take the credit.
Well,
I think
that's
that
the
like
character. That's
legitimately
different.
annoys me.
That he's like designed to be like that, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm talking like characters. They were like, this is gonna be so cool. Like, and I
Oh
remember
god.
Persona 4. And this is the problem with all the Persona games. But Persona 4, the DLC character Marie, they added a whole ass character to the game where you need to be friends with it. If you're minor spoilers, Persona 4, just how to get a new ending or whatever. You have to be friends with the DLC character. You have to max your friendship. So you need to interact with them. If you do not, you cannot continue the game. And you just spend time with this character who is just like kind of like a tsundere character, sort of a little bit. Just like a character who's like fish out of water, where they're like, I don't know what it's like in the human world. And then you're like, what is this, a Borgor? Don't laugh at me, scum! Like, it's just like, oh my god, this character sucks. It's so boring. But you have to be best friends with them. So you need to like put your face against the character, and it's just they're so such a nothing character that adds like nothing to that game, which is kind of the problem with the special editions of the Persona games. Although I think 5 was kind of awful, but like I think I liked five's special character better than 4. Um, but yeah, I
Man.
don't know. Whew. Do you
Ooh.
have any questions from the questions list?
Um let me check real quick.
I could throw you a one of our like wacky zany AI generated ones that are intentionally terrible.
Oh god. Oh, I just got a notification.
Oh, what's the
Um
notification?
so it was a Dota thing. So the the like Dota news guy who's like totally not
John
associated with
Yoda?
Valve, but everybody thinks they're associated with Valve because he makes like all their announcements. He announced like, "Oh my god, guys, Crownfall Ascension Day," and everybody thought it was a patch, and they opened it. It's just a comic. It's like a lore
Wait,
comic,
wait,
and
it
so
wasn't a patch at all?
no. So there is going to be a patch, but he dropped the
Mm-hmm.
lore comic like preceding the patch, like it was the
Oh, okay,
patch. Like
okay.
he worded it very funny. And so yeah, apparently it's like a 100-page comic, and like people are really excited because, or some people are, because we Dota lore is kind of rare, especially in the form of comics. But
Especially
yeah, some
because
people are
it's
mad because it kind of got clickbaited.
based on a Warcraft mod too. I feel like it's kind of hard. I know that they've like come a long way and changed a lot of things. I feel like it's kind of
Yeah,
hard to have really like interesting lore with the original set of characters when they're
yeah.
so like.
I think they just kind of they reworked most of the characters' lores
Mhm.
for the most part. Like there used to be this whole thing with like anti mage and terribly being brothers, and then it got to Dota 2, and I mean, first of all, copyright. They probably couldn't keep the storyline, but they also realized like, hey, this is kind of stupid. Why are these people brothers? These are very like different characters. I'm pretty sure they're only brothers because they shared a character model or something.
It's really funny. I know that's the thing though with like the mod stuff, and I mean like not obviously games like Team Fortress exist, whatever. They can do their own stories from the mod, but it is funny where like the mod was just like, well, we have the deep lore of this character because they in the mod we needed to use the skin from Steve from Minecraft, so now they're like deep lore. They're Brickman in the game or something. They just have some deep lore implication. It's like, yeah, they're twins. It's totally because we
Yeah,
didn't run out of character models.
yeah. Okay, so apparently the comic is about it's Skyrath Mage and Vengeful Spirit, who are the idea is like they were part of some like order of people who have like angel wings and shit. They're like
Mhm.
they're like people with bird wings. And like the whole idea is that Vengeful Spirit was like a princess or something, and Skyrath Mage was in love with her, and then like she got her wings cut off or something, and she became like evil and edgy, and then she just like she said like I hate you, and he was really sad,
I,
and
it,
that's basically
it
their lore.
it seems so weird to me because it feels like the player base of Dota 2 would not care at all about the lore. It's kind of like caring about the lore of the chess pieces. Like, oh, did you see the new Pawn comic just came out? Like, I think I makes sense to me, but like no one I've played when I've played any matches of Dota 2, everyone is too busy like swearing at each other and just like emitting slurs like at a rapid pace to like
Yeah.
consider the characters, you know?
Yeah. So it's interesting actually. For a while, people really didn't care, But then like two things happen. First of all, people realize they don't play other games. Like Dota players don't really play other games, so it's like this is the only place where they get like their story fix from. And then there's this one guy called Sir Action Slacks who was he was like a how do I describe it? He's one of those guys that goes around at esports events and like asks people in the crowd questions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
He's like a host, I guess. I don't know the exact word for his job, but yeah, really funny guy. He's kind of acts like a crackhead. It's a little he yells a lot. It's very loud. But he just randomly thought like, hey, I'm gonna start doing like lore videos, and they're like unironically very good like 30-minute lore videos that go like really in depth and they include like theories and stuff like that. And apparently people really liked them. So like there's this sub part of the community that's just, like they're just really into the lore and they wait for his new videos all the time.
I
Because
feel like that part of the community cannot be playing the game though.
oh,
You
they
know
do.
what I
They
mean?
definitely do.
Or they're terrible. They must, like I feel like there's an inverse. Like you need to not care to be good. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. It's part of the player base, but um, and so now it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like a meme where like people will like unironically they'll like spew like lore facts randomly. Like there's a caster who like in the middle of the cast if the game's getting boring he'll just say like to his co-caster like, hey, did you know that these two characters are brothers and one of them was disowned by their parents so he burned down their house.
And
It's
this
like, I don't know.
character is Io.
It's like it's not ironic, but it's like very funny because the Dota lore is really weird, and it
I
like
would
it
imagine. Where
spans
are
like
they
very different
getting
things.
it
Like you
from?
have
Like where
like
are they pulling it from?
um, it's kind of all over the place,
They're just like
honestly. But
making it up, basically.
no, they don't make it up. It's just Dota lore is like all over the place. Like there's some like in-game backstories. There's comics. There's a couple cinematics. Um, there's like events sometimes that have like lore tidbits. It's kind of it's just all over the place, honestly. It's very hard to like get a comprehensive source for Dota lore, which is part of why that dude started making those videos. But yeah, Dota lore is quite odd, honestly, because it goes from like some like random knight whose gimmick is like, yeah, I was I killed a dragon and then our souls merged, so I'm a dragon knight now. And then
Oh,
you
that would
have
be
like,
Dragon Knight's lore.
yeah, that's literally his lore. That's the entire thing.
What about Centaur King? What's
Centaur
he like?
Warrunner,
Centaur, yeah,
he's just a centaur who like likes war.
likes the war and run. What about
Um,
Skeleton King?
Skeleton King. I mean, he was just.
Was he a king who became a skeleton, or was he the king
I
of the
actually don't remember. I
skeletons?
think he was both. I think he was a king of. I think he was a previous king who became a skeleton, but then he was the king of the skeletons.
Was he
But
called Human King when he was
I don't know.
alive?
But yeah, then you have some characters like Earthshaker, who's like he literally holds like the universe together, and he can like physically shake the entire thing, and he like has these like visions of the future of like some great calamity coming that he
If
has
that's
to
true, then
stop.
why is he so mid?
Man. Then you have like Outworld Devourer, who's like he literally eats planets and like banishes can banish people to like alternate dimensions and like sap their like knowledge for himself.
All right, James. I think we gotta wrap the pod up. And while I'm wrapping it up, can you? Oh, I think we'll end the pod if you could drop some wisdom, drop some Dota. Give me like one great Dota 2 lore tidbit while I do the sign off. So I've been
Um,
Matt, aka Matt Fun Dude. Who are you?
I I'm James, aka James O4E. Matt, did you know that Keeper of the Light, the guy that looks like Gandalf,
Hmm.
committed mass genocide against Night Stalker's species,
Okay,
and now a Chaos Knight is chasing him to make him pay for his crimes, while Night Stalker is just really sad because he can't survive during the daytime.
because he stalks during the night.
Yes.
What is he stalking? Is he stalking shelves?
Oh, he stalks people. He eats people.
He eats people. That
Yeah, he
seems
just eats
like,
them. He's like a kind of like a vampire, but like a like a more monstrous.
but of the night, because
Yeah,
of the night stalking. Because his
and all
name
of his
is
people are
John Night
dead.
Stalker.
He's the last of his kind, and he's really sad.
Is his real name Night Stalker?
It's actually Balinar.
It's Balinar.
Yeah,
What was the other one? Doom Knight. What was the other
Chaos
person?
Knight.
Chaos Knight.
Apparently he's supposed to represent like he's one of the four fundamentals. It's like him, Keeper of the Light, Io, and Enigma. I forget
What
what they
is
represent, like positive force, negative force, and all that weird
What is
shit.
Chaos Knight's name?
Let me look it up.
John Chaos Knight.
Chaos Knight's name is Nesage.
Massage.
Yeah, Nessaj.
All right. Well, that's the podcast we learned.
Yep.
Goodbye.